Hello, you guys. I am hopping on to talk all about my Visioning with God Masterclass that's coming up, as well as how I have so many women that are focusing on praying for a man in 2020. So I wanted to jump on. Let's talk about it. If you didn't catch my Mind Soulful Monday earlier today, I got on Facebook and I was talking all about praying for a man in 2020 and why I truly believe that although that's a good prayer, that God is working on us deeper. So I'm going to wait and see if some people hop on. And I'm going to attempt to what is it called? Pin a comment and see how that goes. And let's see. I don't know. Yes, there we go. Pinned it. So I'm going to put you right here. This is fun. Okay. Awesome. So hello, you guys. My name is Brooke-Sidney. I'm a spiritual wellness or wholeness coach. And I really help people love themselves and the lives they are presently living. I have a heart for single women. That's what I was thinking about. I have a heart for single women. And I don't solve for singleness, I solve for wholeness, if you get my drift. I think that life is bigger and greater, and God has so much more in store for us other than our titles and who we are connected to in terms of a man. Hello, you guys. Thanks for jumping on. So earlier today, I got on and I was talking about how so many women are praying for a man for 2020. And why I believe that although that's an amazing prayer, that there is actually so much more for us to think about than not only just a man, but the type of man and then how God is using that prayer. So I talked about this. It's in my IGTV. So if you didn't catch that live stream or that talk, I'm encouraging you to go back and listen to it. But I wanted to get on and kind of share what I'm considering a part 2 about praying for a man in 2020. Or if you're a man watching this, hello, what's up? Why praying for a woman, why we want to think a little bit deeper about that. And so the first thing that I want to say, and why it's so important, I think, that God gave me the download to do this visioning with God for 2020 and beyond masterclass, is because praying and visioning with God brings us closer to God, right? Closer to spirit, right? We have spirit within, but it's so important for us not to be just operating in our own strength, right? And so in the same way that we are thinking about our prayers, in the same way that we're thinking about praying for a man, for those of us that are single out here, I want you to actually think about the purpose of the prayer. There's nothing wrong with, praying for a man. There's actually nothing wrong with praying for anything, really. But we can have prayers that are more in line with God's heart and God's thought when we actually open our ears and start listening, which is part of the purpose of the Visioning with God for 2020 Masterclass. In fact, I would say that's really the entire purpose, is that we are training our minds, right, to be in line with God's, and that we are training our ears, both our outer ear and our inner ear, to listen to God's voice, right, when we're planning out the year. Because most of us, myself included, you guys, like type A, I consider myself relatively successful. I've done a lot of things. I cannot say, if I'm being truly honest and transparent, that every moment of my life up to this point, I did everything listening to God, or I was waiting on God in certain areas of my life. And so I'm just encouraging, and I feel like God's giving me a message for the women right now who are praying for a man for 2020. I just wanted us to think about it a little bit deeper, right? So how does God use our prayers, and why is that important? So as I said, first of all, I think our prayers, no matter what you're praying for, be them a man, be it money, be it a job, be it to know your purpose, your family, or even your marriage. For those of you that are married, prayers ultimately are designed, I feel like, to bring us closer to God, right? That is the point of prayer. And I did, if you were listening, I think to my Mind Soulful show, I talked about like the powerful prayers. And yes, God is listening, right? But often our prayers actually end up changing us. And I actually believe that's part of the point of them. So, right? Like whether we're praying for a man or we're praying for a new job, our prayers are designed to bring us closer to God. It's designed to further our spiritual walk. It's designed to show us our heart and hear God's voice. And so when we're praying for a man, right? Ask God, what is his heart for you? What is his will for you in this area, right? And that leads me to my second really big point about it is that prayers, whether they're praying for God, to God for a man or whatever, are designed to grow us. So this kind of really, I think, dovetails on my earlier message about making sure that we as women that are praying for these relationships, marriage, men, whatever it is, and it's great to have this heart desire, and I believe God gave us this desire, but really stepping back and having God show us our hearts, having God show us, where do we still need to grow, right? This is the growing part. Where are we perhaps not healthy, healed, and whole, right? We want to be in our best self. We want to be in our best place. We want to have our best relationship with God when, we're going to invite somebody else into our life. I think people are not thinking about, when we do, in fact, finally get into that place or meet that man or God lines up the timing for that person, are we in the proper place to receive him, right? Are we healthy, whole, and healed? And are we able to discern whether that person is? And so God uses our prayers, whether we're praying for a man or someone else, to grow us. There might be areas in our life, right? Physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, where we still have some work to do. And so we need to ask God to show us these areas. That's part of the things that we'll be doing in the Visioning with God Masterclass. I encourage you to join. I encourage you to sign up. Sign up now. Use code EBF while it's still on sale. I'm doing an early Black Friday sale. The next thing that I want to share, if we are praying for a man or whatever we're praying for, is to use our prayers to align ourselves with God's will. And I think of God's will as his heart, God's heart, and God's thoughts. And they're always for us, right? We know that. And they're always higher than our thoughts. And so by praying for, if you're going to use a man or whatever you're praying for, and why it's so powerful to do something like Visioning with God. So I'm inviting you to the Masterclass, is that it really helps us, number 3, to align ourselves with God's heart and God's will for our lives, right? Helping us to see our greater purpose, our greater way that we can serve. Some people call it your ministry, your gift to the earth, your gift to this planet, your gift to the body. And I feel like those things will bring us greater joy and greater peace. So we definitely, whether you're praying for a man or whatever you're praying for, I feel like God uses our prayers. The third point and major point is to align with his heart and his thoughts, which is ultimately his will, right? His will. So I'm really encouraging us, especially as we are stepping into an entire decade, to really be intentional. I had someone message me and ask, why vision with God? Why vision with God at all? And, they're very type A. They think they've already mapped out their entire plans. And I'm like, that's great. God has given us free will. We can do almost anything in our own strength. My question for you is, wouldn't it be beautiful and more aligned if we were lined up with God's will for our life? And secondly, I believe that we step into a special grace and a special flow and a special anointing when we're operating in our gifts. So again, everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. And it's like, especially for those people that want something new in their life and they want to draw closer to God. They want a more intimate relationship with God. They want to hear from God. They want to walk in step with God. They want to learn how to pray different. They want to actually experience the presence of God. They need to jump into this masterclass. So I'm encouraging you to join my masterclass. It is 50% off right now for early Black Friday. And it will be held on December 7th. And I really want to encourage you to think about doing 2020 and beyond differently, thinking about ways that visioning with God, hearing from God can renew your mind. So to get rid of some of the things that we've got currently going on that we need to shed, I'm offering an amazing pre-work for those of people that sign up and get in there. That's my little guy. That sign up, that are really going to help us release, surrender, and even some forgiveness work so that we can step into 2020 with a clean slate and an open heart. So it's basically 2 courses in 1. But I really wanted to jump on and do a part 2 about this praying for a man. You know, there's nothing wrong with praying for that. I think that God uses all of our prayers. I think especially when we're praying honestly, authentically, truthfully, and from the heart, I think God uses and will use it all to 1, bring us closer to God, 2, grow us, and 3, help align with God's will, which is his heart and his thoughts. So I'd love for you to, let me know what you think, share this video out. It will be posted later on in IGTV, so I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in joining the Visioning with God for 2020 and Beyond Masterclass, visit bit.ly/VWG 2020 for Vision with God. You can check my bio and all my links, but I'd love to have you in there. There's still room. It's going to be an online class, so it doesn't matter where you are tuning in from, and there will definitely be a replay. So thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. I love my Instagram friends, and I will talk with you soon. Hey, getting off.